Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away. Go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for circuit spot, Frank and Sean. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson, 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where we are going to be bringing you the action here with Team Goon Squad in 1080p and 60 frames a second, as long as my good old Aussie internet is able to handle it. So good day to everyone out there, and we welcome you to tonight's rendition of the championship race that is going to be the event of the Old Bastards Racing League here with the Kim Bowl Cup Series qualifying just starting to get underway as we watch on as Victor Lane makes his way around for his first lap. Now, this is not going to allow the drivers to go through the open dogleg here tonight, as the dogleg, just that little kink just after the start-finish line, is not able to be run by these drivers and will be given a penalization. So that will not be able to be run by these drivers tonight, as Victor Lane puts down the third fastest time of the drivers who've completed qualifying so far with a solid 28.1 as he makes his way back down pit road and back towards the garage. Going to take a quick look with Alan Wanamaker as he starts to make his way around the track. Wanamaker just recently been given the award as he rubs the wall a tiny bit there on the start of his first lap here tonight. He has just been given the award for Rookie of the Year. Alan Wanamaker in the 74 machine, very much deserving of that title that has been bestowed upon him tonight. And he is going to be looking forward to having a great final race this season to cap off the stellar season that he has had so far. He makes his way around track, sitting in that 6th spot right now, just moving down to 7th as Lee Warsdale puts in a quicker time as well, as these drivers all start to make their way around the track. Got around about 26 cars making the grid here tonight is what we counted during practice. There could be a couple of latecomers as the session is open until midway through qualifying, as Wanamaker, you could see, just hit the outside wall there. Unfortunately, that is going to definitely impact his time, and he will not be accepted by the stewards for that lap being validated, as Mark Fish is now making his way in the GoPro back to 42 machine. And he's going to start off to try and make his times around. Lloyd Moore sitting in first position right now with a 27.65. A great lap as he made his way around. Only had 13 drivers qualify so far, as we immediately get it updated to 16. Now, Ogle setting a qualifying time there in the final spot on that grid that you can be shown with the 18, now 20 cars being shown on that grid there. Ogle will have an EOL to start this one, so he will be starting from the back of the pack, regardless of how his qualifying gets done and is underway. Mark Fish makes his way around, and Ogle sets the fastest time, which, as we once again point out, will unfortunately not count, as it looks like qualifying wrapping up for a lot of these drivers now. Only 30 seconds or so to put in a new lap, and it looks like none of the drivers are going to attempt to better that. So that is the end of qualifying, and it certainly will be soon. As qualifying is just ending up now, we're very much thankful to have you here joining us in the spectator area as well as at home just watching on. We very much appreciate it. And on behalf of the Goon Squad family, we are very, very happy to have you. Now, we appreciate anyone who may have donated to the GoFundMe supporting Mason Heimbaugh in his very difficult time of need in the Squad family. We will send another link to the GoFundMe page, currently sitting at around about $10,000 raised for Mason Heimbaugh and his family, getting him through this difficult time in the past couple of weeks. So that is absolutely phenomenal to see. And this community, the OBRL, the old bastards, have really helped out. And we very, very much appreciate them and all who have donated to help Mason in his fight. As we run through the grid here tonight, Josh Robinson starting on pole with a fantastic run right towards the end of qualifying, and he will line up on the grid very, very nicely in the first position. Now fighting for the championship is Josh Robinson, along with Dwayne MacArthur, currently sitting in fifth, but we will get to that in just a moment as we continue to roll through the grid. So Tom Ogle will be in second position on the grid. You can see the 11 machine lining up there, but will be dropping back with that EOL penalty from the last week. Lloyd Moore will be lining up in the second row with Clint Reist alongside with Dwayne MacArthur, the championship rival, and Courtney Nelson in our third row. Our fourth row consisting of Joey Buscemi and Chris Bates. Fifth row, Greg McDaniel and Michael Watts, with the sixth row of Brian Lynch and Lee Warsdale. Cycling on back with the seventh row of James Waldo, as Jeff Lydon lines up alongside. Dustin Martinson and Victor Lane, as well as Jonathan Thier, Troy Baker, Alan Wanamaker, Patrick Martindale, Mark Fish, Dave Matson, with Bruce Pearson and Mark Morissette in the 24th spot, with Clay Walker and Jeff Hopkins rounding out the 26th and final spot in the 13th row here tonight. I have definitely run through that as quick as we can because we've just been told that we've gone to green, and the pace car was pulling off right as we were whittling it down. We were very surprised we're going to green just that quickly, but there it was. Josh Robinson gets a nice jump out front. Clint Reist in tow, and Lloyd Moore is going to have to deal with losing potentially that spot to Clint Reist off of the start. You can see quite a few battles going on a little bit further back for the 7th and 6th positions. Looks like there's a nice fight there between Michael Watts and Dwayne MacArthur as MacArthur makes his way up to 5th. You can see Joey Buscemi, it looked like, went a little bit wide on the exit of, I believe that's going to be turn 3, as there goes a little bit of car around. That is Mike Watts, who's going to have a little bit of an issue, followed up at the back there. Someone else having their own problems. I believe that was Dave Matson, one of the rookies coming out tonight, the 122 machine. And he is going to have to bring it down behind pit wall after that nasty knock to the inside wall. But Josh Robinson still leading the way right now. Clint Rice not too far behind. Lloyd Moore dropping back just a little bit in that third place position, about half a second from these two. Joey Buscemi still struggling with the rear end of that machine in the 6th place spot. The 56 car looking like the back end is very, very loose, as a little bit of a battle just in front of him. Lloyd Moore in the Meadback machine with Courtney Nelson on the inside. The Ally-backed 48 still trying to make their way through, sporting a brand new paint job here tonight for the championship race. That is absolutely phenomenal to see. Speaking of championship race, Josh Robinson and Dwayne MacArthur, still those two locked in that championship fight. Now we do have the round of 10 that we are going straight into the final race. here tonight, but it is all about these two. Lloyd Moore is sitting in third in points in the championship. You can see in that me-backed machine. But he is around about 60 points down, so I don't believe that there is really much that he can do in the way of making gains on the front two. And it looks like a yellow has come out just now. And we have two cars involved from the look of our live timing software. And we're going to get that one queued up for you in just a second. So we're going to be seeing Patrick Martindale on the inside of Alan Wanamaker there. Just in front of them, potential coming together. Yes, the 34 and the 19 machine come together. I believe that's going to be Dustin Martinson in the 19 and the 34 of Jonathan Thier, who has just recently, I believe, graduated from having a triple number himself. And you can see Ogle just managing to skip himself by, as these two drivers unfortunately cannot get away from each other. And with a perfect synchronized drift there, coming to a stop, solid 10 out of 10 for these drivers right there, as we'll queue up one more replay in real time. And just looked like a bit of a coming together. Potentially Jonathan Thier a little bit higher off the line than what he could have been. Certainly same could be said for Martinson, maybe allowing a little bit more of a gap. We'll see if we can get one more quick view of a different angle on it. This should be from top down. And yeah, you can see just not quite enough room for both of those drivers wanting that middle lane. And unfortunately just coming together. We've been told that Bruce Pearson had an incident under caution. So not sure what happened there, as he seems to be limping it around on track. Doesn't look like anything too untoward though, as he just parks it for the day. Not quite sure what happened to Pearson. He was very much in contention for the Safe Driver Award this season for your 2023 Kimball Cup Series Championship. Looking to be the safest driver of the year, and potentially wanting to clinch that title, not wanting to get involved in anything and bring it back to pit road. Not sure on the development of that one, but he is down there right now. Dave Matson continues to be also down pit road and is out of it. Looks like those two drivers are the only ones that are still down pit road. As we watch the pace car go around one more time, we'd like to thank Pac-Man CT, as always, joining us in the booth. Fletcher Hillman Jr., as well as Dustin Martinson. No Wayne Hufford tonight, says Dustin Martinson. That is absolutely unfortunate for VLS, as one of the mainstays, definitely, among that team. But I'm sure he will be back next season competing to his fullest. So one caution being shown, and we are heading into lap 9 of tonight's 140 lap event. Now our fuel window is around about 85 to 95 laps here tonight, so all of these drivers should be able to go the distance with one pit stop, changing all 4 tires. Probably the best bet if you're going to stay out all that way. Not a single driver coming down pit road as of yet, except for Mike Watts, Mark Fish, and the 2 people that have stayed in there so far, Bruce Pearson and Dave Matson. Mark Fish and Michael Watts, I believe, both had some loose rear end mishaps earlier on, so that would explain those 2 drivers maybe deciding some freshies once again, as they got heat into their tyres much earlier than they wanted. A very long way down pit road,
Green flag,
and it could cost you through green flag stops as we go back to green. And it looks like Josh Robinson has got a nice jump. Bryce didn't let him go too far out the front, but here comes Courtney Nelson getting a nice jump on the inside line. Looks like it's going to be Courtney Nelson over Rice. Will Dwayne MacArthur be able to capitalize on that as well? I'm not sure he'll be able to. Victor Lane, you can see there a little bit further back, battling for position as well. As we have two wide, a fair way down through the field, currently looking on with this battle between Rice and Nelson for the second place positions. It looks like Nelson still having that inside line is a big advantage. Of course, Rice, no stranger to being on the high side, likes to make it work up there, using the banking to his advantage. And somehow sticking beside a lot of these drivers. Don't know how he manages to do it, but he seems to do it without any real effort on his part, week in and week out, just doing his thing. And he is going to unfortunately give that up to Courtney Nelson, but Nelson still allows him to have the outside line. Rice gets a little bit of wall contact there as he comes out of two. Not able to get it done though, as we say. And Courtney Nelson goes for a bit of a wild ride, hits the inside. You can see that car bobble up as it impacts that inside line. Manages to keep it underneath him though. And he will take it down behind pit wall for the moment. That is an absolutely tough break for him. As we check back in with our biggest mover of the race so far in the 14th position. The triple number driver, the 113 of Mark Morissette, sporting a slightly different number on his vehicle. So that may be looked at post-race, but currently in a fight for position with Tom Ogle, as Ogle tries to make his way up into the 14th spot, and does so. Mark Morissette only up 9 in this event at the moment. Quite a few battles going on right now. Our closest one, Troy Baker and Tom Ogle, right in the center of screen. You can see there, Ogle having that inside line. Morissette is going to try and take advantage, as well as Watts. These drivers are going to try their best to keep Baker on the high side and really use it to their advantage. A little puff of smoke as some of the drivers getting too close to that outside wall. Just rubbing on the edge of that barrier just a little bit. As this battle continues to go side by side. Baker with Watts just behind now. So Watts using that outside line to make his way around the outside of Morissette. And Fish dives to the inside of Morissette as well. And the GoPro backed machine is not going to be able to do it. Tried the dive in. It did not work. It's going to try it once again. And it does work this time around. I say that on exit, Morissette has a lot more speed, able to hold that one together. And Baker was able to fend off Watts just in front of this battle as well. As it looks like Fish is still just not able to get that one done. This is a truly epic battle as Victor Lane is now finding himself under fire from Troy Baker. And Mike Watts almost got to the back bumper of Troy Baker. Watts trying to get positions back after that little wobble earlier on when the pack was all stacked up together. Trying to make positions back as quickly as possible. Also, with slightly fresher tyres than everyone racing around. Only 6 laps, but that can make the difference. Especially as we go into some long green flag runs. Now, Fish did make that pass on Morissette for the 16th position. So that has transpired. As Fish tries to make his way underneath Baker. Doesn't look like it's going to happen at the moment. Going to have to settle for that 16th spot. Morissette thought about going for the inside. Didn't manage to do so. And they're going to file into a single file at the moment. Cycling on towards the front. Greg McDaniel has made his way up into the 4th position so far. And he is on a move right now. Setting lap times at the same level as Dwayne MacArthur, who made his way around Clint Rice as well for the 2nd place spot. So MacArthur and Robinson sitting 1-2. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one, as that is certainly a battle we will want to make sure we don't miss. If they come close to each other, a little bit of gap separating the two of them, about 0.3. MacArthur gaining ever so slowly. That does make me wonder if he is using up a little bit too much tyre though, as we are, remember, in Phoenix, Arizona. Not exactly the coldest place to have a race, as Tom Ogle continues to make his way through the field, just passing James Waldo for the 11th place spot, matching his number on that machine. As Mike Watts and Victor Lane were side by side for a second there. Victor Lane says, Mike Watts, you can have it. As Watts makes his way to the outside and makes that pass. We know Ogle has the qualifying pace, as he was in the 2nd position to qualify tonight. So we know he can get himself up towards the front. He's going to want to make himself up there to try and get up and help his teammate Josh Robinson to clinch this title victory, just as McDaniel is trying to do with MacArthur, as those two are teammates as well. And this truly has been an epic season of battles throughout the entire pack, not just up front, all season long. As you can see, Chris Bates with Lee Warsdell not too far behind. They were looking like they were going to have a bit of a tussle, as they clear things out pretty well. Jeff Lydon, the Piggly Wiggly machine, trying desperately to keep away from Hooters, but Brian Lynch ducks to the inside. Not going to be able to carry the speed off exit like the Piggly Wiggly will. And Lydon wiggles his way out of that one. Bit of a stack up behind Jeff Lydon there, as it looks like he has Brian Lynch, and it looked like Ogle and Victor Lane not too far behind. Victor dropping a little bit further back there now, as Lynch is going to make that pass on Lydon. The Hooters backed number 9 machine will go through, and Ogle's going to try and take advantage. Dips his left sides just a tad below the yellow line. I'm sure there will be some minor questions asked about that one, but I don't see that as anything too bad, as it wasn't super obvious. It's very big, very minor. It will continue up front for the moment as we check in with the lead, because don't look now, here comes Mr. Man MacArthur. It is the alien fending off the man. And right in the mix, you can see Clint Rice not too far behind either. Take a little bit of a look from the POV of Clint Rice machine. He is watching the battle of the 2 championship contenders and 2 leaders in this race so far. And knowing Rice, as I'm sure we do, he will not be taking any prisoners either. So if one of these 2 drivers, or if they both make a little bit of a mistake, Rice is not going to give them any more room than anyone else, and is very happy to make them realize that he is not here to play games and wants it all. As you can see, a lap around here at Phoenix, not exactly the easiest, quite a challenging circuit, as it varies oh so much turn 1, just a very, very quick kink into turns 2 and 3. A very, very long sweeping left-hander that does not have really any baking to help these cars turn. And turn number 4 being a very, very tight left-hander back towards the start-finish straight. As Rice there, just dropping back a little bit from Robinson and MacArthur, who've opened their own gap to each other just a little bit as well. As we'll check a little bit further back in the pack, because Mark Fish is trying something onto the inside of Victor Lane. Morissette trying to get involved as well, as Waldo, who dropped back to behind these 3 drivers not too long ago, and I'm sure wants to reclaim that position. As Fish still fighting for the inside of Victor Lane. Lane providing a lot of great content on his YouTube channel. As Team VLS, Victor Lane Sports, are going to try and fight tooth and nail for this spot. Really wanting that 13th place as Mark Fish takes it away. Morissette's going to try and dive to the inside and take that away as well. Fish gets by clean. And Victor finds himself with a Morissette underneath. As this definitely is your closest battle on track. As they are still side by side now with Waldo. As Morissette has made his way by, and these drivers are changing positions very, very rapidly with one another. And Phoenix, if it's taught me anything, is all about the line that you choose to go through. And once you're stuck on that high side, it is very, very difficult to fight your way back up to the driver. Find on your inside. Almost have to let them go and try to fight them back by using the exact same move they used on you. So Victor Lane falls down there to the 16th position. And we've got a potential battle going on here as Tom Ogle to the inside of Chris Bates. Ogle still making his way up after that penalty being served at the start of the race. Ogle makes his way around into the 7th spot. Charging up through the field comes Tom Ogle. Check back in with the leaders. And Robinson still has a MacArthur sitting not too far behind. Also going to have to deal with some lap traffic. As the 131 Sheen, I believe that is. He's going to have to leave a little bit more room, and does so. Leaves too much room. Gets into the outside wall. And I believe that was a 101 machine, sorry, from Jeff Hopkins. One of our triple number drivers here tonight. Sometimes making me wonder if I need to get my eyes checked out as we continue to watch this battle up at the front of the pack. It looks like Dwayne has dropped a little bit further than Robinson as they tried to make their way around traffic. Wanamaker is the next car, just in ahead of these leaders. But Rice just caught back up to the back bumper of MacArthur. And Wanamaker, no worries at all, will pull over to the inside and let the drivers go. That Rookie of the Year award definitely being deserved. Robinson continues to make his way around the circuit. Mark Morissette, Victor Lane, still seeming like they're having their own battle, and Victor Lane actually dropping back a fair way just then. As we panned the camera back, potentially a little bit of a loose drive from Victor Lane at the moment, as Troy Baker now on the outside of James Waldo, who takes that spot back from that earlier position gained. As the tyre wear, you've got to wonder, is starting to rear its ugly head into tonight's event. Look at this right now. Mint Rice has almost looked like scared Wayne MacArthur, who ran very, very wide. But so did Rice as well. So those two drivers going to stay separated by only 0.3 of a second. As we head into lap 45 of this 140 event. Championship race here at Phoenix. Mike Watts is going to be the next driver to find himself with a rear bumper full, rearview mirror I should say, full of Josh Robinson's Ford Mustang, and he is going to have to be wary of letting these leaders go by without too much of a problem. Now Josh Robinson, I'm sure, is not going to want to be held up any more than he needs to be. As you can see, Robinson's 23 machine just seems to get a whole lot more exit speed. We're going to see if Watts gives him room. No, so Robinson is going to have to trundle behind just a tad bit as Watts gives him room on exit. And Rice has made the move on MacArthur slightly further back. So Rice goes round MacArthur and up into that second spot. See if we can get that pass just quickly queued up for you right now. And just an absolutely sensational dive into turn 2. And out of 3 gets it done. Wayne MacArthur running a little bit wide, and Rice was just able to get underneath and take that spot away. As Rice now making the move on the lap traffic of Mike Watts. And you can see Dwayne MacArthur there now taking over that spot as well. So Watts doing a great job of letting these leaders go by without too many issues, worries or woes. Check back in with a pretty close battle for the 14th position. As it looks like Fish sitting in 13th, Baker in 14th, 15th with Morissette and 16th. Victor Lane. They are all sitting quite closely nose to tail here as they head out of turn 3 and into the very tricky turn 4. Now, interestingly enough, at Phoenix, I'm sure we can see some drivers opting to stay in 4th gear all the way around the circuit Some drivers opting to shift down into third, get that car rotated just a little bit more mid-corner, using up a little bit more fuel. If you were to stay in fourth, as it looked like Victor Lane was below the yellow line there, that is okay as long as he does not make up a position. But definitely hurting his way around the circuit, so he drops back a little bit to about 8/10 behind Morissette as this battle continues between these three. Further up front, Greg McDaniel finds himself catching up to the lead pack, it must be said, as Robinson, Rice, MacArthur and McDaniel separate themselves from Buscemi in the 5th position by about 5 seconds. From MacArthur on back to him. Ogle trying to fight for that spot though, as Ogle finds himself not too far behind Buscemi, about 3/10 at the moment. Trying to catch up and take away that 5th place spot. As the field's starting to stretch out as everyone gets used to the way they all drive and the way they are enjoying it. So it looks like what we've got is Clay Walker, Bruce Pearson and Dave Matson unfortunately retiring for this event. It looks as though that is the case. So 23 vehicles still out on track. Still plenty of cars on the field. On the grid, excuse me, in the field. As Ogle and Buscemi is going to be your closest battle on track. As I say that, Lydon and Lynch getting very close together for the 10th place spot. They've just separated themselves a little bit further than what our timing sheet was saying just a moment ago, but it looks like Lydon has a much better run off of turn 3 into turn 4. Is he going to dive it down the inside? It looks like he was trying to scare the Hooters machine of Lynch, but to no avail as Lynch gets a nice run there and keeps that position at bay. Fighting for the 10th place spot, these two drivers. Buscemi continues to find himself with a mirror full of Ogle. And Ogle closing that gap rapidly to within 2/10 now. And there's a little bit of looseness coming out of Lloyd Moore's machine. He's going to have to give up that spot to Chris Bates, so Bates takes over 7th. You could see a bit of a wiggle as Lloyd Moore was trying to get on the power just a little bit quicker than what that car was settled in for. And we might go for a little bit of a ride-along with Tom Ogle in this 6th place position. Interestingly enough, Ogle holding it in the 4th gear for the entire way around the circuit and seeming to like doing that right now. So it seems to be working for him. We can't argue that. These drivers on these next-gen machines do have 5 gears to play with, but 4th certainly seems like the gear to be in. some drivers taking it down to third, but Ogle not one of those, as he continues to fight for that 5th place spot with Buscemi just in front. So look at what we got here. It looks like this is definitely still your closest battle on track, but Robinson and Rice are getting closer and closer together, as Rice is trying to close that gap any way he can to about half a second at the moment. As we check in with Rice, no traffic to contend with right now. As you can see, there's quite a big line forming, I believe, that is behind Ogle, and yes it is. That's Buscemi, Ogle, Bates. Woodmore not too far behind. Lee Warsdale just barely coming into the picture as well. As Bates has a little bit of a blink out of existence, comes back to it. Just a quick little bubble. Joey Buscemi, he's going to really feel the pressure now as Ogle dives to the inside. Ogle trying to take that spot away. Buscemi does not want to give him the spot all that easily. They're still side by side. Ogle just does not have the drive off. Buscemi's going to take it and keep it exactly the way he wanted to. So staying in 5th for the moment. 67 laps completed. We are closing in on the halfway point of this race at this point. This battle continuing. Ogle, I'm sure, getting a little bit frustrated that he's not able to find a way past Buscemi. And the interesting thing is, the more Ogle tries to make those moves, the more he wears out his tires. And I'm sure Bates and Moore, not too far behind, are going to be very happy to see that. As we look slightly further back, James Waldo right behind Brian Lynch, not giving him a whole lot of room on that outside line. That looked like that was very close to contact. Number 5 bonus points for those drivers that can end this race with a 0 incident limit, as well as a 7 incident limit will get you a ejection from the session. It sounds harsh, I know, but the Old Bastards Racing League are built on clean, safe driving, and this exactly is what happens when that is the case. As you can see, all these drivers being very respectful of each other. As I say that, James Waldo looked like might have done a little bit of a tap to the rear bumper of Brian Lynch. Lynch braking a little bit early than what Waldo was ready for, and here goes Waldo to the inside. He's going to try and make this move down to the very tight corner of 4. Makes it stick. Piggly Wiggly's trying to join him. Jeff Lydon to the inside as well, as Waldo makes that pass up into the 10th spot. Here comes Lydon. Mike Watts, it looks like, has just come out of pit road. And he was the first one down pit road this cycle. In comes Brian Lynch. He did not like being passed and wants to come in quickly, as we are right at the halfway mark of this one. Splitting the race halfway, certainly not a bad way to go about it. Chris Bates under fire now from Lloyd Moore. 7th place spot. A great job keeping composed while the me-back machine is right over the back bumper. And there goes Tom Ogle in quite a bit early, And we expected as much, as his tyres were probably a little bit worn from making all those moves up through the field. He's going to have to be wary to maintain his tyre wear over the course of the end of this event, as he certainly will want to have a little bit of tread in reserve should things get dicey towards the end of the race. Bates and Moore still very, very close together, locked nose to tail for the 6th place position out on track. Lap car just ahead of them, of Jonathan Thier. In comes James Waldo. Another driver that we saw pushing a little bit on the heavy side. Mark Morissette also down pit road. They're coming in from around about the 10th position, and in comes Bates, relinquishing that spot to Moore as he comes down pit road. And Jeff Lydon makes his way on past. Mark Fish also down as well, as this has been a very, very solid green flag run all the way since lap 9, I believe. But these drivers still have quite a bit of time, as Bruce Pearson has come back out on track after what can only be described as an interesting event that happened earlier on. Not sure exactly what went on with the 22 machine, but Bruce Pearson doing a great job of coming back into the action and continuing to just pick off laps, increasing his safe driver award margin. As Lloyd Moore and Jeff Lydon have both come down pit road. Keep an eye on James Waldo, as he is currently right behind the leader, trying to get his position back on the lead lap the hard way, as he is on 4 freshies, and he does make his way around without too much hassle. And there's the difference right there. See, the biggest show and tell that I've ever seen, just purely on entry speed, is absolutely ginormous. Waldo made his way back onto the lead lap. Excuse me. We have voice crack up here in the booth. Jeff Lydon looking to maybe come down pit road. It looked like he was hinting at it, but maybe just a bit of an awkward entry. Into the corner. Greg McDaniel, the first of the drivers from the top 5 to make his way down pit road. So where will McDaniel come out? Will he already be behind Ogle? As he makes his way around. Now these drivers losing a lap in the process of making their way down pit road before the time they come out. So very, very interesting, as McDaniel's still getting work on his machine. Just making his way out, and he will lose the spot, as there he is on his way out of the exit of pit road. He will lose a few spots, as Jonathan Thier also makes his way around. But McDaniel coming out as Warsdale makes his way in from the new 5th spot taker, will be coming down pit road, which will allow Tom Ogle into the top 5. And currently Ogle sitting as the top driver who has made his way down pit road thus far. gap between the leaders is quite a vast one. There it is, Tom Ogle finally on the timing side of things, making his way into the top 5 spots. As Dustin Martinson and Greg McDaniel find themselves in a battle. Martinson still on those old tyres, and we have reached lap 85. Now, without a caution, this was the start of the fuel window. We did have that caution, remember, lasting a few laps. The early goings of this event. Wayne MacArthur comes in. We're going to see if that's going to force Josh Robinson to make his way down pit road. As where is Josh Robinson on track? There he is, making his way into turn 2. Going to see if he comes down this time by. And no, he's going to stay out as he so often does. Staying out as long as physically possible is Josh Robinson. MacArthur still down pit road, so he will go a lap down. Or maybe not, as he starts to head his way out of pit road. And yes, he manages to avoid going 2 laps down, excuse me. Definitely 1 lap down, but he will come out behind Greg McDaniel and Tom Ogle. Both those drivers have come down pit road. Both can make it to the end. Staying out, not always the smartest move, but he will have fresher tyres underneath him. So we'll see if he can race around the hard way. And Josh Robinson in. Clint Rice following him. Lap 88 of 140. And that may hand the lead to Joey Buscemi, who also comes down pit road. Has a little bit of a loose entry, and somehow, I think he actually kept it off the wall there, which is absolutely incredible. Let's see if we can take a look at this one and see if he actually hit the inside wall, because if he did not, I mean, that's incredible car control. Oh, just a little bit of a tap, but such minor inconvenience. They should be able to pull that fender out of the wheel well so it doesn't rub against that tyre. As Robinson makes his way out, and he will lose the spot to Ogle, who you can see just making his way by there. Ogle continues to make his way around the track, and he has taken over the lead. So a whole lot of differing strategy. The one driver who has stayed out longer than anyone, the only one continuing to stay out as we head into the 90th lap. Jonathan Thea sitting in the 8th position right now. And we are waiting to see where he will come in as the 2 Google-backed machines, nose to tail, not in position, as Thea is a lap ahead of Jeff Hopkins, just behind him. Jonathan Thea is going to stay out, I believe, as long as his fuel tank will take him. Hoping for a caution. If he can stay out long enough, a caution may come out. Some of these drivers in front may decide to come down pit road and get some fresh rubber underneath them. If that's the case, then Jonathan Thea will be very, very happy to see that. Clint Rice just set the fastest lap of the race, a 27.66. Absolutely flying, I believe faster than the qualifying times we have seen here. A lot of the qualifying times were sitting at around the 27.7 mark. So Rice is not hanging around, and he is moving very, very quickly. Followed up immediately by Josh Robinson, answering back straight away with a 27.62. So 400ths quicker goes Robinson, using that draft of Ogle just ahead very, very effectively. As he makes his way around Victor Lane. The back bumper of Mark Fish now, wanting to take that 11th place spot away. Wasdell and Moore not too far ahead, also engaged in their own battle for the 9th position. Quite a few close battles on track right now, just behind these guys, about 2.5 seconds down the road. There's a battle going on, Joey Buscemi and Jeff Lydon for the 13th spot. As well as the leaders not too far from each other at the moment, as we saw earlier. They're also involved in their own thing, as Patrick Martindale makes his way around underneath Jeff Lydon, not for position, as Martindale is a lap down from Lydon. And we head back up to the front, because here comes the alien Josh Robinson, making that move to the inside of his teammate. And Courtney Nelson looks like he's coming down pit road. So that was Nelson's first stop as well during the green flag pit cycle. Remembering that he had to stop earlier on. A bit of a spin and a knock with the wall. Jonathan Thea still staying out though from the start of the race, the only one to do so, and is still out there. Lap 97 completed. See if he comes down this time by and relinquishes that 8th place position. Now, some of these drivers may have the broadcast brought up on a separate monitor. If not, they almost always come back and take a look at the broadcast afterwards. So we hope we've done them justice, as well as you all at home, bringing you the action as best as we can, and as amazing as it is, provided for us by the Old Bastards Racing League. The Kimball Cup Series always lending itself to some fantastic action. As Jonathan Thea there may have missed pit entry last time by, and that is why he was so slow on the inside, but he made his way down this time by. Chris Bates was showing as an incident, and there it is. Not bringing out the caution. But that looked absolutely huge. We're going to have to look at the replay on that one. It looked like he tore the front end off, and that is absolute heartbreak for Chris Bates. Loses the rear, smacks the outside wall. And oh, just before the pit lane, and rips the hood off of that machine. Absolute heartbreak for Chris Bates there, as he was performing quite well in this race, sitting in the top 10 the entirety of the event. That's gotta hurt. Butcher Hillman Jr. letting us know that the Old Bastards Racing League are doing a great job, and I fully agree with that. It is always great to hear fan support, whether you're supporting a driver, the league itself, potentially specifically the Kimball Cup Series, or maybe even perhaps on the off chance you're broadcasters at the Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Yeah, very, very happy to share and bring the action with you as well as we can. Now it looks like Wasdell and Moore are going to be the two closest cars on track for position, sitting in 7th and 8th right now. Wanamaker moving out of the way as some faster traffic comes by. And still moving out of the way as well. So we check back in with our ladder on the left side of the screen. And Rice about 6/10 back from Robinson, as he did make his way past Ogle earlier in the race. Mike Watts and Jeff Lydon were side by side for a moment. Looks like Lydon has dropped a little bit. I believe he came down. Oh, no, he didn't come down pit road. Potentially a little bit of a bobble for him. Mike Watts making the passes. He has Josh Robinson not too far behind as well, but still sitting on the lead lap. He is very much entitled to fight for that lead lap spot if he so chooses. As Robinson has a Rice not too far behind. You can see the 6 machine very, very close. Almost hounding the 23. So he will be very excited to see Josh Robinson getting held up by lap traffic, and hoping for that to be the case, as Patrick Martindale is the next one, just in front of Josh Robinson here. Napa Auto Parts machine running wide, letting the leaders go by. Couple laps down is Patrick Martindale. Robinson's got some clear track ahead of him for a little bit now, though. And he can really open up the taps, and is going to do so. Chris Bates still getting a lot of repairs done on that machine. Alan Wanamaker came down pit road, is now making his way out after an extended stay. Almost 2 minutes from pit entry to pit exit for him. As we look further back in the pack, Jonathan Thea, after coming out of pit road at lap 100, trying to make his way back up through the field with a very, very big disparity between himself and the other drivers around him on tyre wear. As far as that is concerned, he has more than 10 lap fresher tyres than everyone else in the field. So Jonathan Thea, we're expecting to have a lot of pace for the rest of this race. Now Dustin Martinson just ahead, trying to hold on to the 15th place spot. And is able to do so for the moment. Check back in a little bit further up the field. Lloyd Moore, the me-back machine. Lee Warsdale with some Skittles. Making a whole lot of noise when you drop those on the floor. Making a whole lot of noise behind Lloyd Moore. Dropping some sick bars up here in the booth as we continue to watch these drivers make their way around the track. Moore and Warsdale, these drivers no strangers to being involved in some truly epic battles. Week in and week out, they know how to race around drivers cleanly and concisely, and doing a fantastic job of keeping it clean between these two so far. In fact, the majority of the field keeping it very, very clean. I don't think we've seen a whole lot of incidents. Certainly have not seen... we've seen, apart from that very first incident, not another crash involving more than just a solo incident. So that just goes to show this is what the Old Bastards Racing League is made for. If you want some nice, clean, long green flag racing, some high-powered NASCAR machines. Look no further. The Old Bastards Racing League. Moore still trying to drive away from Lee Warsdell, creating that gap a little bit bigger than what we saw earlier. It was down to 2/10 at one point. Created a gap of about 4/10. Warsdell just made a huge dive into turns 2 and out of 3. Brought it back down to 3/10 the gap between these two as they continue the fight for the 7th place spot. Moore has to check up as he runs way too wide. Warsdell's going to be very thankful to see that one. And Warsdell's going to try and take that position away, and does. That seems about right, that the Skittles driving away from me can never have one. My mum would never let me have them as a child growing up. Always missing out on the Skittles, but Lee Warsdell is not missing out at all as he has made his way up 5 positions so far in this race. Your biggest mover so far, up 11 spots. The award has to be handed down to Mark Fish, who's sitting in 10th right now, has just gone a lap down to the leaders. As you can see, Rice and Robinson just ahead. Now those two drivers still separated by around about 6/10. They have been for quite a while now, as that gap continues to remain at quite a steady rate. Rice going to have to look for something different if he wants to try and catch up to Robinson in the last 22 laps, as we're at 22 to go here in the championship race at Phoenix Raceway. As I wish you all had a very happy Halloween. As last week we realized up here in the booth we forgot to mention that Halloween was just around the corner. So we hope you had a great time. Whether it be you getting candy, potentially your kids, someone you know, niece, nephew, whatever it may be. Maybe some kids knocking on your door asking for some candy. Just a good time from a nice community typically is Halloween. So always a fun event for everyone. As Victor Lane trying to hold off Jeff Lydon right now. For the 12th position, Victor Lane. We say it week in and week out, but Victor Lane is getting better and better throughout this season. As I've broadcasted, I want to say around about the second half of the season, Victor Lane has gotten better. Every single race we watch, much more consistent as he continues to improve his positions in the finishing order. Jeff Lydon does want to take that 12th spot away though. As he dives it to the inside, we're going to see if he can make it stick. And the Piggly wiggles him way through, but does not manage to keep it. Has to hold on to it, uses the dog leg, which does not count as part of the racing surface. And he is going to have to give up a lot of time to Victor Lane. Now has a 2-second advantage, with a lot of cars in between. In the middle of all this, a lap down from those other drivers. Jonathan Thea and Dustin Martinson fighting for the 15th spot on track. Still having that fight that we saw earlier on. And it just does not quit. Jonathan Thea unable to make a dive to turns 2 and 3. Out of turn 4, gets a bit of a better run. I think I saw someone have a little bit of a loose rear end slightly further back. That may have been Wanamaker. But it looks like he has kept it underneath him. So all is good on that side of things. As Robinson opens the gap up to Rice to around about a second now. So about half a second gained for Robinson on Rice. So they both came in the same lap at lap 88. And Robinson, as we know, has always been one of the best drivers at saving tyres underneath him. And it seems like that may be starting to pay off as he opens that gap to Rice in second spot. But Ogle and MacArthur fighting it out for the third place spot. Ogle was in front of MacArthur as they came out of pit road. Ogle in 13 laps earlier. MacArthur's gonna have the fresher rubber. 13 laps to go. MacArthur is not going to want to wait around at all. Makes a lunge to the inside. Ogle's going to have to give him the room. MacArthur goes a little bit wider than what Ogle was planning on. They are door to door, side by side as they head down the long straightaway, heading into turn 4. Will MacArthur be able to make it through? Tries to get a bit of a more of a run on exit. But Ogle's going to have that advantage as he is on the high side and keep the third place spot. Oh, another dive to the inside of turn 4. Ogle and MacArthur still side by side and perfectly alongside. This is going to be a great position here for Dwayne MacArthur to make this move. Out of turn 3. Just able to make it done. Cuts across the nose of Ogle. Wants to cement his position in that third place spot. And does so. Currently on board with Ogle once again. And you can see the rear bumper of the DeWalt Bass Pro Shops machine of MacArthur just in front. Now Ogle is not going to be able to challenge all that hard as he does have quite a bit more tyre underneath him, does MacArthur. So Ogle's going to have to start being a little bit more gentle on throttle. And MacArthur's going to be very happy to see that, as you can see just in front of MacArthur. That lap down driver getting into the wall just ever so slightly. That was Mark Fish in the 42 machine as Ogle passes underneath. Stays in fourth gear, continuing that strategy. We'll ask some of the drivers later on as we whittle down the laps if that was what they preferred as well. As Ogle not falling back quite as far as we expected, sticking around the half a second gap to Dwayne MacArthur just in front. But definitely still falling back. MacArthur using all of the available raceway. As you can see, right up to the outside of turn 4. And interesting choosing that middle line of turn 2 and 3. Seeming to work quite well for him. We'll check back in with the 8th position. Just take a look. Buscemi has been passed by Warsdale while we were checking on the other battle up front. And Warsdale has been on a mission for a little while now and has made his way up into the 7th spot. So he's going to be very, very happy to see that. As the closest battle on track, there you go. Patrick Martindale, Jonathan Thier. Lap down from the leaders in the 14th position. Trying to fight for it is Patrick Martindale. Jonathan Thier not too far behind. Victor Lane is also there, who is in front of these two. They're going to be fighting tooth and nail for that 14th spot. Jonathan Thier, remember, has a whole heap of laps fresher tyres. About 14 laps fresher than Patrick Martindale. Martindale doing a great job of defending, though, in the Napa Auto Parts machine. Got 3 laps left to go. Robinson still maintaining a 1.5 second gap to Reist in the 2nd spot. Chris Bates makes his way down pit road. I believe he has probably decided he's had enough. He's going to end it a little bit early. Jonathan Thier tried everything just then, trying to send it in as deep as possible. Patrick Martindale able to keep him in check, though, as they're still fighting for the 14th spot. 1 lap to go for Josh Robinson, not too far behind this pack, as they continue to fight it out. Go back a little bit further as Josh Robinson makes his way through turn 4 toward the finish line, and there we go. This race stays green since lap 10 all the way, 140 laps complete. Take a bow, Josh Robinson. The race and the championship are both yours. Clint Rice takes it home in 2nd, with Dwayne MacArthur in 3rd. Want to check back in on this battle, though, because it was very, very intense. Jonathan Thier not able to make his way past Patrick Martindale, able to hold him off there for the 14th spot. Great race from these drivers, as always. Up here in the booth, we are very, very happy to bring you the action as best we can. As through go the drivers after their picture. And while Josh Robinson has a bit of fun with a bit of a burnout, show you where your drivers may have finished off in this race. Josh Robinson in the 1st position with Clint Rice and Dwayne MacArthur taking home the top 3 spots. Tom Ogle, Greg McDaniel making your top 5. James Waldo, Lee Warsdale, Joey Buscemi, Lloyd Moore, and Mark Fish rounding out your top 10, with Michael Watts, Victor Lane in your top 12. Jeff Lydon, Patrick Martindale just holding on in front of Jonathan Thier. That is your top 15, with Dustin Martinson in the 16th place. Jeff Hopkins in 17th, and Alan Wanamaker, our Rookie of the Year, in the 18th spot. Keep cycling on back. 19th is Courtney Nelson, with the 20th spot being taken home by Chris Bates. The 21st position of Mark Morissette, with Brian Lynch in 22nd. Bruce Pearson in 23rd. Troy Baker, 24th spot. Clay Walker in the 5th position. And Dave Matson taking the 26th spot after only sadly, 1 lap completed in this race. We'll get ready for driver interviews, and I'm sure we'll talk to you very, very soon. All right, we've got the broadcast booth already full of some people, so we're going to get Dwayne MacArthur in here straight away and get it underway. Dwayne bringing it home in the 3rd place position. You must feel pretty ecstatic after that one. I mean, not quite the race you were hoping for. Unfortunately, losing out a little bit to Josh Robinson out in front, but certainly a good race for you regardless.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. A podium here, podium at Phoenix, podium in this car, podium in this league. It's really good. It really didn't matter where I finished unless Josh had a rough night. He had enough of a gap, so as long as he was in the top 10, it really didn't matter what I did. So it wasn't really points racing, just having a good time, having some good racing out there with some of the fellas, and it was a good time.
Yeah, it looked like a very solid race. Very happy to see it go by. And I don't mean as in to finish, of course. I mean like it was a great race to watch. Now, must be said, some of your lines, I did want to ask you, it looked like you weren't hugging that inside line towards the end of that long green flag run at the end of the race here. It looked like you were slightly higher off the track, especially in turns 2 and 3 on that flat turning corner. Was that bit of a strategy game, or was that some tire wear leaving you, so you couldn't stick it to the yellow line on the inside?
No, I never really. Well, on the first run, I lost my right rear, and my rear tires warmed up a little bit, but mostly I was just searching around, looking for whatever was optimal that lap. You know, if I pushed the fronts, then I'd try to take some wear off of the fronts the next time. Just kind of moving around, keeping the balance even, trying to keep it optimal. It took a little too long to figure out exactly where I was losing. I was shifting on the first run, and I kind of lost touch with Clint and Josh there, and I'd like a little bit of a do-over on that. Maybe I have something for him, maybe I don't, but figured it out on the second half and ran Ogle down. That was a lot of fun. It's always a good time to run down Tom Ogle at a track like this. So
Yeah, we were certainly watching that one without a doubt. Now, we did actually want to ask you whether you were shifting a lot or not, because we know that shifting down into 3rd for a couple of these corners to get the car rotated was certainly an option. Tom Ogle, who we jumped on board with a couple times, seemed to prefer to stay in 4th gear as he was making his way around the track. Do you think that was a big difference to get the jump out of the corner, staying at higher revs?
I thought so, but I paid for it. You know, I did it the whole front half of the run of the first run, and it felt great. I had good speed. It's good for speed, but Clint and Josh drove away there as it used up the rear tires a little too much, and that's kind of where I lost touch with first and second place. I experimented all throughout. I mean, passing, it was good to use for passing, especially in turn 3 there. Coming to the flag there. If you're side by side, you could get a good little run. And then I actually was going up to 5th, sometimes coming through the dog leg, because you're kind of hitting the chip there going into 1. So played with it here and there, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it wasn't.
All right, Dwayne. Well, certainly nothing to sneeze at. 3rd place, always a good time having you up here in the podium and in the booth with us. We're going to let you go for the final time of the season. But before we do, any shout outs you'd like to give? Friends, family, sponsors. The floor's yours, Dwayne.
Yeah, first I'll give a shout out to Josh there. Congratulations on the championship. He definitely earned it. You know, had a hell of a season. I thought maybe when I won the regular season I'd have something for him, but nope. He got me, got all of us. So congratulations to him. He definitely earned it. He's a hell of a race car driver. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Kim Bull, Victory Lane Sports, AO Logs, Butt Kicker, Admin Box. Could do it without their help. Thanks to all the admins that help run the league, all the guys that keep showing up every week, and of course the Team Goon Squad for putting on a great show. And our thoughts are with Mason. And that's it, bud.
All right, thanks, Dwayne, and we appreciate it. once again, we look forward to potentially seeing you next year. Depends on how things go, but I'm sure you'll be around in the Old Bastards Racing League regardless. So I'm sure everyone else looks forward to seeing you as well. And we will see you in the near future, I'm sure.
Okay, buddy. Good job. Take care. We'll see you soon.
You too, Dwayne. All right, that was Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in the third spot. Next up, Clint Rice bringing it home in second. Clint, it looked like Josh Robinson just got away from you a little bit towards the end there, but you certainly had some pace for him throughout the run.
Yeah, I don't know. Hell, he's just too damn fast. I give up. I don't know. It seemed like I might have been a little bit quicker getting in, but him getting off, it was crazy how much grip he had getting off. I couldn't pull him, but I don't know. Hell, it was fun.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun from the booth, and you were maintaining pace with him for quite a while. Did you think about potentially changing a line, and did that end up costing you that extra half second that you ended up dropping back before the last few laps in the second green flag? Well, I guess since the pit stops were taking place.
Well, I don't know what I could have done. I don't know if I would have went in a little lower, I probably would have burnt my right rear up a lot more because it just seems like it's a lot looser the lower you hold it. So I was trying to prevent lighting up that right rear because once that thing's gone, you lose all pace.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like that was an issue that was regarding quite a lot of people. Now, talk us about that decision to come in with, like, at the exact same time as Josh Robinson. Did you see him coming in and decided that was when you wanted to come in, or were you thinking that that was it for you? You decided lap 88, regardless of whether he was coming in front of you or down pit lane.
I was waiting on him the whole time. I knew, hell, he's so damn good at his strategy and everything. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to follow him and hopefully I can maybe somehow jump him in the somehow, but it didn't happen. So I was following him the whole way, and hell, even if I would have really got to him, I don't know how hard I would have raced him just because of the championship and all. So I don't know. It was fun, and yeah, it was a blast.
Look, Clint, it was a great race. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I know that we haven't got that win from you so far this season, but you've been on pace to be able to do it so many times, and I'm sure it's a little bit frustrating, but I know it's going to happen next season. I have no doubts about that. But before we let you go, Clint, who would you like to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors, the floor's yours.
Yeah, man. I just want to say thank you to the admins for putting this on. It was a great season. It was long, and you too, man. Thanks for broadcasting all these events, and hopefully we got you again next year or come February.
I thoroughly look forward to it as well. We'll see, but it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you every so often, Clint, and look forward to seeing you whenever I see you next. Have a good one.
You too. See you, bud.
Right, that was Clint Rice bringing it home in the second position. Up next, the race winner and the championship winner, Josh Robinson. The man, the myth, the legend, the alien joining us up here in the booth. You've got to be feeling like $1,000,000 right now.
Feeling pretty good, Gareth. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, but not as well as you, I'd imagine. I mean, talk us through the emotions when you took the checkered flag.
I never, even though I had the lead, and even though I had a little bit of a point lead coming in, that was 140 laps of feeling uncomfortable. So I did not start feeling comfortable until I went into turn 3 of that final lap. And at that point, it very relieving because I knew the only way that I wasn't going to get the championship is if I did something stupid. So I just kept telling myself to be calm, be patient, and since we had a long green flag run, that ended up actually working out pretty well. But sometimes they go your way like that.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that's exactly what happened. Now, Phoenix, I mean, it might not be the track that you were particularly great at, or you don't think you were, but certainly proved otherwise tonight. Now, you did come in with a 15-point buffer on MacArthur, so you had a bit of room to play with, even if you didn't want to rely on it. Still must have felt like a little bit of the pressure was off to what it could have been.
Yeah, it it might have seemed like a little bit of the pressure was off, but I put the pressure back on myself. So, props to my teammates that were in the chat tonight. Well, all of Team Miata all season. It was good to have them there. But tonight, Brian and Tom and Mark Fish joined us in chat, and they were calling me down when I didn't really even need to be panicked, but for some reason was panicked.
That's sometimes the way it goes. Now, I did actually want to talk to you just briefly as well about what your thoughts were when you came out of pit road lap 88 and you saw that you got overtaken by your teammate Tom Ogle, who pit quite a few laps ahead. You must have thought that you would be out front without too much of a problem, and then all of a sudden your teammate comes past. Did that light a bit of a fire in you thinking, I got to get past Tom Ogle because he's Tom Ogle, or or were you just thinking, I'll just run my race and I'll get past him as is normal?
I would be lying if there isn't a little bit of there's a lot of competitiveness between Tom and I. He is really good here. He came all the way from the back and was leading the race for quite some time in the middle section. I I knew I needed to get by him pretty quick because once the tires kind of balanced out, which they do about 20, 25 laps into a run here, it was going to become increasingly difficult to make a pass. And again, he is really good here. So I wasn't surprised to see him in the lead, but I will say when I came out of the pits and he had about a 1.5, 2 second gap on me, I was like, ugh, freaking Ogle.
Yeah, I'm glad you
But he's really good though, so I knew he was, even though we were competitive and even though we run tough, I knew he was going to run me clean.
Yeah, so that's exactly what you want from a teammate as well, because it almost pushes you to better yourself as well as better them. A bit of a friendly banter here and there, and nice, good, clean
Absolutely.
racing. Yeah, so there you go. Now I guess I'll ask you one more question since we've got you here to talk about the race and also the championship. Won 14 races this season, including the All-Star race. I mean, that's almost unprecedented as far as I'm concerned. Like that's incredible. And I've also got to wonder, just as a quick side note to that as well, Clint Rice was on your bumper for quite a bit of that race. He was, I wouldn't say on your bumper, but about half a second and not really falling back probably as quick as you expected. Were you a little worried that Clint might come up and challenge you for the lead as well?
Absolutely. Clint ran really well all night and he was within striking distance for 140 laps if I were to make a mistake or have any type of mishap. He ran really good and I knew if he did get me that there was no getting him back because if he was running extremely well and Clint's fast. I'm not surprised at all to see him up there.
Yeah, neither are we, to be honest with you. So, did have a very nice burnout as we're watching right now in slow-mo, and a nice drive into the paddock as well. I bet you were just, what were you, just waving to the fans, having a bit of fun? Maybe a bit of champagne just tucked in on the door, just briefly, for just in case
Oh
you
yeah.
won, or?
I didn't need those tires anymore. That don't need that car anymore. It can go wherever it needs to go. So put it up against the wall, gave the fans something good to see there, and just and then it took me a little while to find out how to get onto that victory lane thing. A little embarrassed about how long that took, but I got there. Google Maps wasn't working very well, but I got there.
Doesn't it annoy you when SatNav treats you a bit wrong? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Look, you got there in the end. We're very happy to be speaking to you. And Josh, we will let you go. But before we do, for the final send-offs of not only the night, but of the entire season, who would you like to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors. You've got the ultimate say.
Shout out to my team over at Team Miata. We run each other hard, we run each other clean, and it's just a good group of guys to have conversations with in the race. And makes it all that much more enjoyable. Shout out to all the league admins that put in a lot of work, specifically Dwayne, to keep this league going and running 4 nights a week. Shout out to you, Gareth and James, for doing the broadcast. Really enjoy these things. Shout out to the guys that are always here. We do notice who's in chat. We got Jeremy, I don't know if Jeremy was here tonight, but he is here almost every night in chat. Pac-Man, Fletcher, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple others off the top of my head, but appreciate those guys tuning in. Shout out to my nephew Andrew and coworker Paul. I know they've tuned in through the season, and shout out to everyone that came out every week. We had phenomenal car count in this 37-week series, so that's pretty awesome and unheard of.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well, just briefly, because that was really an incredible thing to see as well. From my perspective, I don't think I've ever seen a season go plus 25 cars every single week throughout the course of almost an entire year. So that's an incredible one to shout out to the Old Bastards Racing League as well. But Josh, we will let you go. Any final quick words, or are you done?
I think I'm good, Gareth. I am a little disappointed you won't ever tell us who wins the Sunday night game since you're here already into Monday, but I appreciate you being fair about that.
Oh man, you got to keep the punters happy. So, but the bookies would be very unhappy with me if I told everyone who won. So that's the way I look at it. But yeah, Josh, look, it's been great talking to you as always, and I'm sure we'll see you up here in the booth, whether it be with me, someone else, whoever, whatever happens in the future. I'm sure we look forward to watching in and seeing what you're doing next season. Keep up the good job.
Appreciate it, Gareth. Have a good one.
You too. Right, that was Josh Robinson that brought it home in the first place position. You can see it took him a little bit of time to figure out where victory lane actually was. Right in front, and it looks like he just missed it there. But he found his way there in the end anyway, and we got to talk to him, which was fantastic. On behalf of Team Goon Squad and everyone here at the Old Bastards Racing League, especially the Kim Bowl Cup Series, we are incredibly happy and proud to have brought to you the racing season of the Old Bastards Racing League this year, and we look forward to whatever season might be brought their way through whatever means next season. Whether it be us, whether it be someone else, please keep in touch, as the Old Bastards Racing League always puts on a fantastic show and a great bunch of people. We, again, will see you potentially next year. Have a fantastic holiday season and enjoy yourselves. We'll see you whenever we do. Good night, everyone.